Suck my balls, my hairy fucking big balls. Wrap them around your fucking mouth. I'm gonna shove it up.
Boys Road Trip with absolutely zero gay undertones 15 is a game I've always wanted to play for years for its story. After beating Very Gay Road Trip Pocket Edition, along with all its side quests, I can safely say that I still haven't really experienced that story. The game is literally just you watching these characters wailing on enemies and occasionally dashing, but for the most part it feels pretty much brain dead. Just tap an enemy and Noctis goes into his crazy combo. Like, I'm not even pressing any buttons here, what the hell. The voice acting and animations are kept intact for cutscenes, but the models were replaced with these non-emotive Disney Infinity figures. I mean, all you need to do is look at the cutscenes in this game compared to the original and you'll see how much the lack of expression destroys some of these scenes. Although, saying this game has a lack of expression almost feels like I'm giving it too much credit. Nobody ever moves their mouth when they talk, so every impactful line is punctuated by a deadpan stare.
It's in all the papers.
What is insomnia false? What? Is your idea of a joke?
There was an attack. It's in all the papers.
What is insomnia false? What? Is your idea of a joke?
I need you to calm down so I can explain.
I'm as calm as I'm gonna get.
There was an attack.
The whole experience feels like if a kid watched all the FF15 cutscenes on YouTube, then played out every piece of dialogue with dolls in their room. When I played this game originally, I encountered a bunch of weird glitches, the worst of which happened at the end of the game as a double whammy. Not only could I not leave this area after I killed all the monsters, for absolutely no fucking reason, my characters started talking in German.
Einer muss ja auf euch aufpassen.
So coming back to this playthrough years later, shit like that was pretty important to see patched out. After all, this game got ported to the Nintendo Switch. Surely now all the kinks would have been worked out. Well, I'm happy to report that while playing through the game, not once did a character utter a single word outside my preferred language. Because the game didn't have sound. Yeah, really, trust me, I checked. It's a tale as old as the App Store itself. Developer puts out an app, an iOS update comes out that fucks up everything, and because the game isn't profitable anymore, the company decides to abandon it.
Whole program's cocked, boys.
Now, it's still totally possible that Square Enix will get somebody to fix this mess at some point, but honestly, this isn't even the first time they've let this happen. The World Ends With You has an unexpectedly spectacular iOS port that was well worth the $20 I spent to buy it, right up until an iOS update hit, leaving the game unplayable for years, much to my dismay. It wasn't until last year, when the rising hype for the anime and sequel game were announced, that Square Enix decided to fix their game. I really wish I could recommend that game to you instead of this one. But the truth is, I have no doubt that the next iOS update will render it impotent again. So yeah, I guess just consider this a PSA if you ever decide to buy a game for your phone that's like $10 and up. There might come a day where it's impossible to play it. As for FF15 Pocket Edition, if you're actually interested in the story, you're probably better off just looking up the cutscenes instead of playing this shit. I'm like pretty sure there are versions of the actual game for console and PC cheaper than this too. You should play this game the way it was intended to be played, and honestly, someday, so should I. This game gets one wiener out of schnitzel. Genshin Impact, baby! Oh, I can already sense the boys cringing at this one. Links in the description for a giant thunderstorm discussion on this one. I'm going to assume if you know about this game, you're either in the camp that's heard of it by its massive popularity, but was shooed away by the word gotcha, or the camp that is already hopelessly addicted to this game. I don't believe I will change either of these trajectories when it comes to whether or not you should or shouldn't play Genshin Impact, but I can certainly supply my shitty opinion and experience to help you consider yours. Genshin Impact is what would happen if you took Breath of the Wild and you replaced Link with a cute anime girl who you constantly fantasize about how high the strength stat of the children you'd have together would be. I understand the appeal of both of these worlds, trust me. And for the first maybe 7 hours of gameplay, it's a really good time. The characters are well voiced, for the most part.
Ooh, Paimon's heard this one. In Lille, they call this a joust for a spouse.
Ultimate challenge?
Paimon's
got an ultimate challenge. Try to put...
Paimon on sticking balls in your mouth all at once.
The combat is incredibly fast and fluid, making it easy to chain elemental attacks, resulting in very destructive flashy moves. The world is so pretty it actually makes me want to cry, and in the beginning, starting up this game is like being a kid and opening your friend's toy box. There's all kinds of points to explore on the map, camps to beat the shit out of, treasure waiting to be found, and honestly, just moving around the world feels like you're running through a painting at points. But then you realize that the toy you picked up is covered in something sticky, and there's a strange odor coming from the back of the box, and the box is covered in piss. And this isn't your friend's house, it's mine. This is not my first gacha rodeo. I have been a free-to-play player in several different gachas for differing periods of time. I played Final Fantasy Dissidia Opera Omnia consistently almost every day of my life for like 3 years. I stopped playing that game because of the amount of time it took to grind out resources, and yes, I left that game as a free-to-play player. So when I tell you that a year ago, I spent like $80 on this game on not even my 8th day playing it, it's time to stop! That should tell you that one, well, I have a fucking problem and addictive personality, but also two, this game hooked me where a gacha game that I spent years of my life playing couldn't. I'm gonna break this down. The gacha system here is the most predatory I've ever seen. And man, I have seen some shit. Characters on banners have less than a 1% chance to show up in polls, with a pity system that doesn't guarantee any specific character, and you can easily spend hundreds of dollars on a banner without getting what you want. And that tease, that almighty feeling of longing, is punctuated, of course, by banners only lasting a limited time, inducing serious FOMO. None of this stuff is new, but I found that the resource for draws was way more stingy here than in other gachas. Somehow, all of this was still acceptable to me a year ago. I told myself I'd spend money, get something good, and play the game normally, and yeah, I got some half-decent characters, but let me tell you about the most unexpectedly, psychologically damaging screen I have ever seen in a video game ever. This. For those who don't know, this is a list of passive talents that every character gets that you can only unlock by getting doubles of that character. Yes, doubles. You finally beat the odds to get your character with an astronomically low drop rate, and this fucking screen has the audacity to tell you to do it again, like 6 more times. One for each node. I've heard all the discussions online about how these skills don't really matter all that much, and that the character can be amazing without them, and I just don't give a shit. When I play a game where I'm taking the time to grind and max out a character as high as they can go, to get number to be as bigger as possible, I want to be able to do any and every little thing that will increase my damage, and I knew, when I looked at this screen, that even if I got a character completely maxed out, to the point where it was like fucking future-proof, and I could just one-shot everything in the game, it would always haunt me knowing that they could be a little bit better. And absolutely does MiHoYo know that this is a fucking thing. It is designed around that shit. I don't like that. You shouldn't either. That is some predatory shit. God damn. This is a feeling that you can only sate by pouring thousands of dollars into the game, and I realized that way too late. There are people who love this game and aren't tempted to do stupid shit like I am, and I honestly respect your self-restraint, and I hope you continue having fun the way you are, honestly. But I knew I had to uninstall this game and get as far away from it as possible once I realized how little I actually got out of it for what I put in. I was thinking of making a video about the game a year after its release, but somebody apparently hacked my account, and despite providing MiHoYo with payment records, dates when I played the game, what systems I played it on, the characters I had on my account, and a bunch of other information only I would know, they still have yet to give me my account back. So yeah, I wanted to talk about the resin system and how this game throttles late game progress. I guess you'll have to just trust me that any horrible part of a gacha game that you've played before and fucking hated is hiding somewhere in here. And it's unfortunately camouflaged under the veil of an actually good, beautiful game that I just fucking want to play. Anyway, I give it a solid pre- and post-coitus Jaeger shot out of alcoholism. I get the fuck out of my room. Die With Me is an app I bought for $1. It's a chat room that you can only enter if you've got 5% battery life or less. I actually really like the idea of that gimmick. The idea of your phone running out of battery is something that usually triggers anxiety or stress, but on a fundamental level, this app asks you to spend your phone's final moments at peace, finding some kind of solace at the end of its life with other people. It's human connections that make up part of why life is worth living, and this app asks you to go out of your way to inconvenience yourself to find human interaction with like-minded individuals. In a way, this app almost begs to invoke a higher meaning. Perhaps our phones in themselves are little pieces of us, storing photos, messages, pictures of our loved ones, our goals, our desires. They're the first and last thing we look at in the day. They're what distract us when the world around us feels numb and symbolize both loneliness and connectivity. Think about that palpable strike of terror that sets in when you realize that you don't know where you left your phone. Perhaps there's merit in watching the rectangle in your hands, made from the cringing years of myriad technological developments, crumble internally, like grains of sand moving down a winding staircase that smells of polished leather and shines like a single lighter at a bonfire. What can the people who use this app tell us about the meaning of technological obsolescence? The timeless winding cloth of language, the oversaturating, all-consuming wave that engulfs us named social media, and the out-of-body experience you get from talking to people while watching a piece of you die. It's not a piece of you, you tell yourself. You can live without it, you tell yourself. Your life would be much better without it, you text yourself. In fact, you're going to destroy your phone right now, is what you tell Siri to remind you about in exactly 4 days, 15 hours, 17 minutes, and 27 seconds from now. No, this is what you never needed, and that's why it's so important in your life, or rather, your smaller, bright, symmetrical life that's about to end in roughly 10 minutes. Goodbye, everybody, and hello to...
My phone is on a circuit with a ventilator. If it dies, I die.
Hump me.
What's up, gentlemen?
Grandma's pussy.
Sounds about right.
Wanna fuck?
Hell yeah.
You have a dick?
Yes, sir.
Even better, gawk me.
Hell yeah.
Give me sloppy toppy.
You knock your ass up for this.
Let's film a porno.
You got a dick too?
Charge it.
I don't have a charger.
No charging allowed. I am a very epic gamer, and my mom said if I do my chores and go to bed on time, she'll buy me another Fortnite card.
No way to mute spammers. You can cheat the system by charging your phone after getting in, and you can pay to get in at 15% battery life. Fuck this shitty...